It started as an ordinary evening for 12-year-old Shanda Sharer. Just another night in her young life, filled with the innocence and dreams of childhood. But lurking in the shadows was a plan so sinister that it would shock the world. Four teenage girls, driven by jealousy, rage, and manipulation, had set their sights on Shanda, and what they would do to her was beyond cruel. This wasn't just a crime, it was a horrifying act of torture that would leave an entire nation in disbelief. How could young girls be capable of such evil? What pushed them to commit such a monstrous act? The story of Shanda Sharer is one of betrayal, unimaginable suffering, and a justice system that struggled to comprehend the depth of this horror. This case serves as a chilling reminder of how darkness can take root in the most unexpected places. Brace yourself as we uncover the disturbing details of this tragic case. Let's get started. Introduction. Shanda Renee Sharer was born on June 6, 1979, in Pineville, Kentucky. She was a bright, cheerful girl who loved playing basketball and making new friends. In 1991, after her parents' divorce, she moved to New Albany, Indiana, with her mother, Jackie Vaught, to start a new chapter in her life. Like most 12-year-olds, she was full of life, had dreams, and was looking forward to growing up. But her life took a tragic turn when she became entangled in a dangerous love triangle involving a girl named Amanda Heavrin and a jealous ex-girlfriend, Melinda Loveless. At first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary about Shanda's life. She had recently transferred to a Catholic school, was making new friends, and was adjusting well. However, she unknowingly became the target of a jealous and possessive teenager, Melinda Loveless. This deadly obsession would ultimately lead to one of the most horrifying murders in history. The perpetrators and their troubled pasts. The four girls responsible for Shanda's murder were Melinda Loveless, 16, Lori Tackett, 17, Hope Rippey, 15, and Toni Lawrence at 15. Each of them had troubled upbringings, making them vulnerable to violent influences. However, Melinda Loveless stood out as the ringleader. Melinda had a deeply disturbing childhood. She suffered physical and emotional abuse at the hands of her father, who was later convicted of child molestation. This abuse left Melinda deeply insecure and emotionally unstable. When her relationship with Amanda Heavrin ended, she was devastated. Seeing Amanda get close to Shanda ignited a deep, burning jealousy inside her. She became obsessed with teaching Shanda a lesson. Lori Tackett, another key player in the crime, had a strong interest in the occult and the macabre. She frequently spoke about violence and had an obsession with hurting people. Hope Rippey and Toni Lawrence were followers rather than leaders, but their willingness to participate in such horrific acts made them just as guilty. How the deadly plan was set in motion. The plan to harm Shanda began when Melinda Loveless convinced Lori Tackett to help her scare Shanda. On the night of January 10th, 1992, Melinda, Lori, Hope, and Toni set off on their mission. They lured Shanda out of her house by pretending to be friends of Amanda Heavrin, telling her Amanda wanted to meet her. Shanda was hesitant at first, but eventually she agreed to go with them. What she didn't know was that this car ride would be the beginning of a horrifying night of torture and violence. The night of torture and unimaginable cruelty. Once in the car, the girls drove to a remote location where Melinda revealed her true intentions. As soon as they stopped, she pulled out a knife and began threatening Shanda. The innocent 12-year-old begged for her life, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. The girls proceeded to beat, strangle, and torment her over the course of several hours. They then drove to Lori Tackett's house where they continued their sadistic assault. Shanda was tied up, gagged, and stuffed into the trunk of the car. Despite being gravely injured, she was still alive. But instead of showing mercy, the girls decided to finish what they started. In a final act of unimaginable brutality, the girls drove to a deserted field, poured gasoline on Shanda's battered body, and set her on fire. As they watched her body burn, they laughed and joked about what they had just done. It was an act so horrifying that even hardened criminals were shocked by its brutality. Discovery of the body and the investigation. The following morning, two hunters discovered Shanda's burned remains. The sight was so horrific that they immediately called the police. The investigation began, and it didn't take long for the authorities to piece together the gruesome puzzle. Toni Lawrence, feeling guilty and afraid, quickly confessed to the crime and provided investigators with crucial details. Within days, all 4 girls were arrested. The shocking nature of the crime sent ripples through the community, and soon the entire country was talking about how 4 teenagers could commit such an atrocity. Trial and sentencing. The brutal nature of Shanda Sharer's murder shocked the nation, and the legal system moved swiftly to bring her killers to justice. Due to the severity of the crime, all 4 girls were charged as adults. Despite some being underage at the time, the prosecution sought the harshest punishment possible, aiming to ensure that such a horrific act would not go unanswered. However, in an effort to avoid lengthy trials, plea deals were made, sparing the defendants from the death penalty. Instead, each of them received significant prison sentences, though many felt that no punishment could truly match the cruelty of their actions. Melinda Loveless and Lori Tackett, seen as the masterminds behind the crime, were sentenced to 60 years in prison. Hope Rippey, who played a major role but showed some remorse, was given a 60-year sentence, with 10 years suspended. Tony Lawrence, the least involved and the one who later cooperated with authorities, received 20 years. While these sentences provided a sense of justice, nothing could undo the suffering Shanda endured or heal the grief of those who loved her. Her tragic death remained a haunting reminder of how jealousy and cruelty could lead to unimaginable consequences. The aftermath and Shanda's legacy. The murder of Shanda Sharer left a lasting impact on the entire country. It became a case study on teenage violence, jealousy, and peer pressure. Shanda's mother, Jackie Vaught, dedicated her life to raising awareness about violent crime prevention and advocating for victims' rights. Over the years, all 4 perpetrators served lengthy sentences, with some being released after serving a portion of their time. However, their release did little to erase the horror of what they had done. The case remains one of the most disturbing true crime stories in American history. The tragic case of Shanda Sharer serves as a haunting reminder of the dangers of unchecked jealousy and peer influence. A beautiful, innocent 12-year-old girl lost her life to a crime so brutal that it still sends chills down people's spines today. But Shanda's story is more than just a tale of horror. It's a wake-up call. It reminds us of the importance of mental health awareness, early intervention in troubled youth, and the need to teach kindness instead of cruelty. If you or someone you know is struggling with anger, jealousy, or thoughts of violence, seek help immediately. Speak to a trusted adult, counselor, or mental health professional. One conversation could prevent a tragedy. Thank you for watching this video on the tragic case of Shanda Sharer. If you found this story informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories. And let us know in the comments. What are your thoughts on this horrifying case?